first of all, what kind of challenges are you seeing with the people at work? I mean, I'm not asking you to name names like, oh yeah, Bob's really a pain, but like what kind of general trends are you seeing in this industry? That.
Well, I think that's a great question, Joanne. I think that there's this sort of a nerd privilege or techno-entitlement.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the ways that I grew up was, coming out of school and having, technical skills at a very young age that were very very valuable, and sort of owning a technical area, gave me a lot of power, right out of school even, and without actually a lot of maturity or insight on how to use that power. And, I think that what people had to do with me was sort of just like, they couldn't afford to let me leave the company. They couldn't afford to, so they just had to sort of put up with me, right? And I think this is a pattern that happens with a lot of nerds. You just generally grow up like a spoiled child in the industry. And I think it's even gotten worse in this last tech boom cycle.
Okay.
I mean, we are, now the salaries, the compensation packages for nerds have gone, skyrocketed. It's very hard to get them. We do all kinds of things to woo them. And the problem is, you can actually learn a lot of patterns that are not very helpful for yourself in the long run, not very helpful for your team, not very helpful for your company, right? So I think, a lot of what's in the short-term interest of a manager to do with a good, solid, strong technical contributor might undermine them in the long run. You might put up with a lot more than you should, and the person will never learn some of the softer skills that they need to be truly successful.
Wow. Yeah, that's great insight. I mean, it's like raising kids, you want to give them stuff. You want to give them the lollipop because they're crying, and make them happy. But does that make them, develop a self-discipline to not be able to cry? It's the same.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think that, one of the worst things you can do, like studies have shown that one of the worst things you could do to a young person is like give them a big inheritance at a young age, So if you're graduate from college and you have enough money to have a good time, but not really enough to live off for the rest of your life, then you just really don't develop the work habits that you need for the rest of your life. It really undermines people. It also gives them a sense of guilt and some other things, right? And I think that, having certain tech skills can sort of have the same effect. It's almost this unearned gift that can spoil you, at the wrong age. And then if you don't, and also the worst thing that happens is you run out of this inheritance money. If your tech skills become cold after some period of time or something, then you're in real trouble, because then you're just, you're a nerd with a nerd personality, but without hot nerd skills, right?
So I want to sort of turn this to you personally and figure out what kind of strategies you've developed over time to help you be a better communicator with people. I mean, as you've gone through your career, what have you done? I mean, or if anything, that you've really taken on to improve in that area?
Well, that's a good question. What I generally do is try and make up for in kindness and in friendship the excesses that I make in terms of arrogance and forcefulness, right? And you see, like a lot of tech leaders, as I said, it's very acceptable to be a Steve Jobs, right, or Bill Gates, or Larry Ellison. His tyrannical personalities are accepted and almost glorified in our culture. And so if I, show symptoms of being that type of leader, then what I try and do is make it up to the people by being a better friend later, right? When the mood passes. But in the heat of the moment, Joni, I have to tell you, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to take your old impulses, your old reactions, and train yourself to act differently. I think you just have to spend more time trying to make up for it later on. If you can suggest any strategies, let me know, right? So.
Well, actually, that's some of what I do is, figuring out. I think the key is what you're saying in the moment is acknowledging that it's happening and figuring out how to pause and
right, or at least come back to it sometime, right? So. And I think it's good for you to have these type of shows where you get the word out that, you know, people can be more productive, more creative, get more work done. If they think about the long term, they don't think about always being right in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They realize that they may have developed some personality quirks from being, you know, this techno privilege that they've grown up with, and that it actually doesn't serve them well, right?
Right.